Hello everyone, in this video we're going to take a look at Wordpad, which is a word processing program that comes with Windows 10 free of charge. So if you haven't got Microsoft Office on your computer, you can use Wordpad to write and print out letters. It's easy to use, let's get going. Take the pointer down to the search box, left click into the search box and type in Word. As soon as you start typing, Wordpad appears in the menu and we can left click once onto it. This opens up Wordpad, and as we can see we've got a piece of A4 paper here, a virtual representation of a piece of A4 paper here, and we've got some simple options here similar to using Microsoft Word, not as sophisticated but good enough by anyone's standards. As we can see on the piece of paper we've got a flashing line. This is called a cursor. Any typing will appear where the cursor is. So if I start typing now, as we can see, you will always start typing wherever the cursor is. Wordpad is the perfect place to practice your keyboard skills. So we can start typing out sentences or typing out a letter using the keyboard. Like so. Don't forget using the Shift key and a letter creates a capital letter. The backspace will delete anything that you've typed. If we want to go down a line, we use the Enter key. This will move the cursor down one space. And if we want to go down another line, we can press the Enter key again, and we can press the Enter key as many times as we want, and this will allow us to type further down the page if we want to. The backspace key will delete these letters and will take you back up to the top of the page again. You'll notice that when you put the pointer onto the piece of paper, the pointer symbol will actually disappear while you're on the screen. Up here we have some further options. We can change the type of text, called the font. At the moment we're using a text font called Calibri, but we can change this to other text fonts if we like. Other popular fonts are Arial, and if I start typing now with Arial, you'll notice that the text is slightly different. And if I use the Enter key to go down a line and change the text, let's try something a bit more fancy. Let's try Courier, for example. And use the backspace key to delete anything you've typed. We're going to go back to Calibri. If we want to make the text bigger or smaller, we can change the size of the text by clicking on this number here. So what you need to do is put the pointer onto the little arrow pointing downwards, left click onto it, and then we can scroll down and make this text bigger or smaller. The smaller the number, the smaller the text, the larger the number, the larger the text. So if we go down here to text 48 and click onto it, if I now start typing, you'll notice the text is nice and large. I'm just going to make it a little bit smaller, onto 24. We can also change the colour of the text by clicking on this little arrow next to the letter A. The black line underneath the A tells us that we're typing in black. But if we put the pointer onto the little arrow, left click once onto it, the colour palette opens up and we can select any of these colours here. So let's try red. Left click once onto red, and now this line is underlined here in red. It means that everything we start typing will now be red. We can also make the text font bolder if we like by clicking on this letter B. If we hover the pointer over these symbols, it tells you what the symbol does. But the B here is bold text. It changes to a heavier font. If I left click once onto this, and you'll notice that the B is now highlighted here, it means that when we start typing, everything is going to be in a bold text. We can try italics here as well. And if we click on the U with the line underneath, this will start to underline everything we type. If you want to remove the formatting, you just click again on the letters and it removes the formatting. We can insert the date and time, for example. Different formats available. Left click onto them and click on OK. It puts the date onto the letter for you. If you want to undo anything, by the way, up here in the left hand corner, this is the undo symbol here. If you left click once onto it, it will undo whatever you've done. And likewise, if you wanted to redo it again, you've got a redo button, and that will put it back on the screen for you. So if you make any mistakes, you can always use the undo or the redo button. So that's the absolute basics of using WordPad. There are other features, but we'll save those for another video. And if you've got a letter that you wanted to print out, and you've got your computer networked or connected to a printer, you can print a document out by going up to the File tab up here, left click once onto it, click on Print, and if your computer is set up properly, you'll be able to click on Print and you'll be able to print out a document. One other thing worth mentioning as well is saving your documents. Once you've typed out a document, normal procedure is to save it onto your computer. This allows you then to edit it further down the line or to use it again on a future occasion. And to do this, you would go to File, go down to Save As. Now we need to call it something, so we'll call it Letter. And by default, Windows is going to save it into the Documents section of our computer. We're calling it Letter. We click on Save. This letter has now been saved as Letter in our documents on the computer. We can now close the document down. And if you want to find the document again, we can go down to File Explorer, the yellow folder on the taskbar, left click once onto it, and if we click onto Documents over here, and you'll see the letter is over here, and if you want to open the letter, we can click onto it to open the letter. And that's the absolute basics of using WordPad. There are some other features that we can use, but I recommend you just practice with the basics, get used to using the keyboard, practice typing and editing a letter, and build up your confidence with the keyboard.